and Chig, and maybe some other tight ends put extra work in with the quarterbacks after practice. How much does that help as far as building chemistry, timing, and how you feel like that's going so far?
Yeah, it's like anything else. Just we talk about it. Chemistry is just repetitions over time. Something that's emphasized in our offensive meeting room. So just trying to apply those philosophies in the building on the field.
It's one thing to sign with a team and sort of envision your role. You've been through the off season. You're week into training camp. Is this kind of shaping up to be what you wanted it to be? You think when you signed here?
I'm just trying to find my role on this team, whatever it is. I mean, I'm not sure, exactly what it is. I'm just going to go out there and play tight end. Whatever spot they ask me to play, I'll do it. My job is to study, every position we have. So if they need me, I can be put in any position. So, that's my job as a player, and I just got to stay ready.
What are some of the things you like about the culture and just the atmosphere here now that you've actually gone through some camp and everything?
Yeah, standard's a standard and doesn't change for anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, what your deal is, how many years in the league. I mean, not all places are like that. A lot of people get longer leashes, but the cool thing here is everyone's held accountable to the same standard. So, I mean, it may not just be unique to the Tennessee Titans, but it's cool to see within the building.
How much do you Coach Rabel kind of going from position to position and dropping gems? Is it interesting to you? Like, did it surprise you that he had the knowledge of the tight end position?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's my first head coach that pops into every position room. At least from what I've heard from guys on the team. I mean, it seems like he can coach any position. So I know, speaking as a tight end, he'll pop in and emphasize, running off the ball. Just give us little nuggets throughout the day or week, depending on if he wants to pop in our room or not. But yeah, that is the first for me to answer your question.
How much do you hear these guys talk about last year?
I mean, I'm new here. I mean, I haven't heard it. I mean, all I know is they're focused on this season, and obviously, me being new here,
How you approach camp yourself as far as compared to maybe when you first came into the league? What things you want to accomplish to get ready for week one?
I think the biggest thing is just getting the reps in this new offense and building confidence. I mean, I feel that's the same goal, for every player across, every team, every year. I mean, just get reps, build confidence. And, I mean, confidence is only built by, repeated action and getting repeated positive reinforcement, getting some success, knowing that, I've done this, I've been put in this position before, and I'm trained for it. So, training camp, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's the beauty of it. It's adversity. I mean, we got a great defense. I know matching up against the safeties and linebackers I have to go against every day is only making me better daily. So I embrace it, but if I don't go out there with my best, I will get gloved up. So this camp especially has been awesome, having so many, all-pro caliber guys to compete against daily.
This isn't the first time that you've switched teams. Do you take any more urgency to a training camp when you're a new guy or with a new team? And if so, where's that urgency in terms of your preparation?
Yeah, I feel like my urgency is there. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I mean, my job is to get ready as a player for an NFL season, and I take that very seriously. So I wouldn't say it's just because I'm a new guy. It's just, just my process, who I am. So that's how I'd answer it.
Is it at all different, though? I mean, if you were in the same place last year, you'd probably know every single thing of
Sure.
the offense. Is it still a learning of the offense thing, or where do you fine-tune your
Yeah,
game
certainly. I mean, there's definitely some things I still got to get more comfortable with. Like I said, playing different spots. I mean, sometimes I get my wires crossed. So that's something I really got to challenge myself. Is showing the coaching staff I can handle it. So got to limit mistakes in terms of alignment, assignment, and just get where you're at. But it's a fun challenge being able to be put in different spots, and a challenge I embrace.
You certainly understand the business of this league, but how disappointing you and your guy Kevin Hogan didn't get to work together here like you had thought.
Yeah, my college quarterback. I mean, yeah, obviously it's my college quarterback. In a perfect world, I'd love him to be here, but that's not up to me. I'm wishing him the best here. He's down there in Houston. So yeah, I mean, that's my guy. I'll see him. But my job is just to play tight end here and do it to the best of my ability.
You said you were staying at his house early. Are you still at his place, or you finally got your own, I guess, by now?
I finally got my own place, yes.
How's the chemistry with Tannehill that you emphasized so much during the off-season program. How's that coming along?
Again, just, reps. Just need more reps. I mean, it's not, built over the course of, spring or a week in training camp. I just really think it's something that's built over, hundreds if not thousands of reps. So when you see me sneaking over during a special teams period or after practice trying to spot it up, I just need those reps, just see the ball coming out of his hand, like his angle, how he, sees my body move, like what's my tell when I break, stuff like that. Just little subtle things that, you can't replace other than just repetition and time. So, I mean, it's a tedious process, but it's a necessary one.
What is thing for working with the offensive line and the blocking assignments as far as kind of getting the chemistry, understanding the reps and the certain assignments that you guys are having to execute?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, language pretty much the same. I mean, I'm not spilling any beans here about our offense, but I mean, everyone runs outside zone. You know what I mean? So that part was a lot easier for me to pick up. I mean, dealing with the passing game and learning the guy getting you the football and learning that style of passing game. I mean, there's a lot of carryover around the league, but a lot of new fun wrinkles. But to answer your question, run game is something I've done for a long time. So that's, of the two, has been a much smoother transition.
When you were in Atlanta, you took a higher percentage of your snaps from Cleveland with out wide. In Cleveland, you had a hand in the dirt more often.
Yeah.
Is there something that you prefer about where you're lined up or where your role in the offense is, whether it's pass or blocking heavy?
Not really. I mean, like you alluded to it, 50% of my snaps in Atlanta, I was a slot receiver, and then I was top 5 in the league in terms of hand in the ground when I was in Cleveland. So I've proven I can do, whatever's asked of me. If it's, pass pro, block gap, scheme zone, if you want me to be a slot guy. So, I mean, my job is to be a tight end, earn my role here, do to the best of my ability, and be a good teammate.
Anything stood out to you about Chig, just being around him in the tight end meeting room and out on the field? What have you kind of seen from him so far?
Yeah, I like Chig. First of all, Chig's a good guy. He's funny. He's young. He's got energy. He has a willingness to work hard, and I really respect that about him. And another thing too, he doesn't have an ego. A lot of young guys come in from time to time, and they think they have it solved. He's the first one to be like, hey, how do you see it like this? I mean, he has it a lot more dialed in now, but when we were working together in spring, especially until Jeff came in the room and came in a little later, it was just bouncing ideas off each other. So it's been fun to work with him. Really athletic, really hungry young player. So, it's not lost on me. Part of my role here is to help him out to the best of my ability, and that's something I embrace. So, it's going to do some great stuff.
We see Tim Kelly working with you a lot on individual period as well as install. What's it been like working with him and just kind of like what he's doing for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, whenever you have a former play caller in the National Football League come in your room, just kind of just give you some wrinkles, some nuances, a style of thinking that's just, unique, and it's good to be around. So, I mean, you just got to be a sponge, right? You just got to absorb as much knowledge as possible, and a guy who's called plays in the league, who's done it, a bunch of different spots. So it's good to have another resource alongside Luke in that tight end room that we could bounce ideas off of.
The caller periods like you had today maybe help, and how do you think you guys maybe fared in those today?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to get out here. These guys actually have to run in from the sideline. They got to get the call. They got to figure out what personnel we're changing in and out. It goes from first down to second down to third down, where they're at on the field, plus 50, working their way down. Obviously, probably didn't have our best day to date, but, I mean, it's good, the experience of it. I think the other thing that stood out today was just the consecutive plays, right? We've been scripted where it's probably 5 plays max, and now you're getting into 8-play drives, and there's a little bit difference in terms of focus. Like, we got to be able to focus on our technique and the play and details of the play instead of worrying about being tired.
With Farley, he had a little bit of a tough day today. Like, how do you go about handling that? You want him to make sure he still has the confidence, but you also want to critique him. How do you go about that?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he'll be the first one to tell you that can't happen. We can't get the ball thrown over our head. He's been improving each day. I think his understanding's getting better. But, again, it's a fine line. Like, those guys got to understand, like, if we get beat because they're better than us, it's going to happen, right? But when we get beat because of our technique might be lacking or something might be an issue with us, that's a different story, right? So just making sure he's focusing on those little things, play in and play out, and understanding we can't have plays off with our technique.
What's DeMarcus Walker brought so far?
Yeah, I've been very pleased with him. He's a pro. He comes in here and works. He had a great offseason for us. I think he's another leader in that room. He's developing that with how he works. I think he has a pass rush ability for us. He can do some different things across the line of scrimmage and base defense where we put him. So I've been pleased with what he's done so far, and hopefully it continues.
I know you guys don't like to talk about last year. You also know there are things from last year that you want to address and fix. So how do you kind of weave that in without talking about last
Yeah, I mean, we have the same points of emphasis every year going in. I think our guys have an idea from when we were here in the spring of what we did well, what we didn't do well, and now it's kind of turn the page and let's make sure we're focused on the things that we might have struggled with. It's been ingrained in their heads all spring, you know, so we're continuing to overemphasize probably those things, but again, across the board, first, second down, third down, red zone, whatever, 2 minute, whatever it might be, like we're always looking to improve in all areas.
Is Caleb a guy who maybe needs and will get more reps in the preseason than some other guys that are part of that first?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, that's up to Braves and Todd and all those other guys. So, again, he's out here working. He's getting a lot of reps out here, going up against a bunch of different types of receivers. So it's been good to have him back out here and actually going through practice.
How you like what Roger McCray has been able to put forth?
Yeah, man, I've been pleased with him. I mean, we've had this conversation in the spring about him. He's not a rookie. Like, I don't feel him as a rookie. He's poised. He doesn't panic in coverage. He stays square. He challenges. He's got a good understanding of, I think, what it takes to be able to play man-to-man, and we saw that stuff from his college tape. And he's been able to come in here and translate, and he's been outside. He's been inside. He's handled it. So I've been really pleased with where he's at. He's just got to continue to progress.
That inside-outside versatility, is that something you guys kind of projected when you?
Yeah, I think always, anytime you can get those guys with versatility, it's huge. Because, again, you only take so many guys to the game. So, I mean, I've been pleased with him being able to go in there and what he's done in there so far, especially with Elijah being out right now.
How much is that, Shane, on a guy, on a rookie quarterback coming in to work both? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot. Like, I do. I think the skill sets are totally different in man coverage, right? What you're seeing route-wise is totally different in man coverage. And then with us, schematically, I mean, there's a lot of communication that's involved with that nickel and those linebackers when we get in penny defense. So, and I think he's handled it. So, it is, in my mind, they're two totally different positions. They really are. Like, there's some things that carry over between them, but we asked a lot of our nickels, and he's been able to go in there and handle it.
Depth look behind David Long and Zach Cunningham at inside linebacker, especially with Monty Rice out.
Yeah, I've been pleased with that group. It'll be good whenever Monty can get back out here, but I think Dylan Cole, he's played some games. He's been a good player on special teams. I think he's smart. He kind of understands what we're trying to do. I think Joe Jones, same type of role, a vet who has a good understanding. Chance has done a great job in camp so far. I've been really pleased with Chance. He's another guy that has came in and he's trying to work the techniques we're teaching. The biggest thing with him, for all of us, was once we get the pads on, how's it going to be, right, with all these guys. But I've been really pleased with Chance. I think Gibby does a great job out there taking command of the defense. So, again, I think we got some good pieces there.
You seeing Zach and David sort of fit together and communicate the way you kind of envision?
Yeah, I think it's a process. I think they're both kind of working through it right now to figure out what each of their role is in doing that. But I've seen it. I saw it from David in the spring. It's continued here early in training camp, taking more of a leadership role. I think Zach, again, it's the first time really getting through training camp, getting through everything with us. Because he wasn't here, came in late last year, wasn't here early in the spring. So he's getting more comfortable. You see it. So I've been pleased with where they're at right now.
I assume you've seen that block kick Zach had at Vanderbilt where he jumped the line.
Yep.
When you're analyzing a guy play like that, what does that tell you?
Yeah, I think instinctive. I think his length shows. It shows out here all the time. He's a really long player who can cover some ground. But he's always been instinctive. That's you don't have over 100 tackles in the NFL if you're not an instinctive player.
Shane, having the front four back. And what does that do when you're able to go through a whole camp with those guys and trying to build on the success you had getting to the quarterback last year?
Yeah, I think just their chemistry. Like, it's a big part of what we do. We ask those guys to do different things. They know they got to be able to win their one-on-ones, but it's not always straight one-on-ones. We can do some different things with those guys where they can kind of play off each other. And I think they're understanding what we're trying to accomplish, what each of their role is in a certain scheme might be. The biggest thing, I think they communicate very well. I think they all kind of see things the same way, which has been great. So hopefully that can keep moving forward.
Were you not happy with today's practice from a defensive standpoint?
We got to be better. Yep, not good enough. We got to be better.
The next step for Christian Fulton maybe to get his hands on more footballs, more interceptions, because it seemed to really develop as a cover corner last year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time and place when you're in position. Again, if you're in man coverage, it's hard to get interceptions. We're preaching, keep your eyes on your man, make sure your man doesn't catch the ball. But when we're in zone, having some of the instincts, some of the awareness of what's coming, having a feel, making sure we're playing with vision on the quarterback, those are when you really get your opportunities to catch them.
I may just start you off with the trailing, just what you saw from him from the time you left in the mini camp to training camp started, how much maybe that helped put him in a position to do what he's done so far.
Yeah, I'm excited to see his growth. You know, when we came back from the summer break and started to get into that pre-camp, it was, I think, still knocking a little rust off or figuring some things out, but he's been doing a great job of taking some of the coaching points that we're giving him and applying them to the next time he gets that opportunity. So when you have a young player like that, particularly when he missed the time in the spring, it's so important that he uses that time to build chemistry with the quarterback and, you know, to make sure that he's honing in on some of those details. So really excited to see his progression and the trajectory he's on, but he's got to stay hungry and stay at it.
Along those lines of the chemistry, you see like back shoulder throws and things like that they're complete. And how impressed have you been, you know, that timing is there already?
Yeah, you saw, you know, a lot of that body control and the ability to adjust to the ball in the air, you know, at Arkansas. And I think that it's good, you know, to build that confidence between the quarterback and the receiver that, hey, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go make this play, and it's going to be you or nobody. And Traylon's, you know, come out on the top end of that a couple of times. And you just got to continue to build that through repetition. You know, that confidence is built through that consistent achievement, you know. So you got to continue to put them in those situations and see how they respond.
With so many new skill position players, is this maybe the most important camp that Ryan's had since he's been here, just to get on the same page with 4 or 5 new guys?
You know, I would hesitate to say that one camp's more important than the other because I think they're all critical. But you're certainly right that there's an added sense of, okay, we need to all get on the same page. How you doing? Good. Doing great. You know, all get on the same page, you know, and make sure that they understand each other and building that timing, that chemistry. So always critical for us to make sure that, you know, everybody's dialed in and understands what's required of them in a certain route concept or blocking scheme. But it's been fun to watch thus far.
As the camp starts, do you have sort of a roadmap of, you know, we're going to do these things on these days, and do you adjust it as need be along the way?
You know, Coach Vrabel is very organized with the way that we lay out our teaching progressions and our installation. So certainly each practice will have a theme to it, and the installation schedule will kind of follow that. But as the camp goes and you see things that might need a little more work or a little more attention, you can kind of tweak and adjust there. I think what's been great about, you know, some of the individual periods and the group periods we've had is that's the stuff you can kind of tailor to the need at the time. And it's been really valuable work for us to get together and have some time where Ryan gets to explain to those guys what he's looking for as well.
Been some talk, Todd, about, you know, Aaron's size, maybe not the biggest guy out there, but I wonder, are there advantages to being two for kind of smaller, lighter linemen, especially in terms of the running game and the mobility they have?
You know, the couple of traits we're looking for is that play demeanor, that effort and finish, right, and that toughness to be able to play through the stalemate. And sometimes I think that we can get caught up on numbers in size and not look at the whole body of work, of someone's character, their play character. And we definitely feel like we've got a competitive group. They're fighting. Obviously, the front we're going against every day in practice is a challenge for us. But the way that we're, sticking to it and working through some of those techniques and fundamentals, has been encouraging. So I like where we're at there.
What do you think about Dylan's technique when you look back at the tape yesterday in pads?
I think he's a much more mature player in year two. You're seeing a little bit more buy-in to some of the techniques we're asking him to try, things that might be a little different than he did collegiately. And you see a little bit more comfort and confidence. He's throwing a more confident punch, and he's certainly, having some success and wins with it. So excited about where he's at, and I think he's working really hard to continue that growth curve.
We talked to Keith before about Dylan and kind of, trusting what he's saying or trusting some of the techniques that you guys are trying to get across. How big a difference has there been from year one to year two? Because I know that was still something that you guys were working on with him last year.
Yeah, and I know that Coach Vrabel's talked about this. The guy's an off-season award winner, right? He came in and worked his tail off and has been committed to trying to improve in so many areas of, that we've asked him to focus on. Everything from the physical development and stuff in the off-season, to buy in with individual and techniques and just, the hard work has been really cool to see. It means a lot to him. It means a lot to Keith. It means a lot to me and everybody else in between. So it's fun when you hit that kind of chemistry where it all starts to come together. We just got to keep our foot to the pedal on that development.
With Malik, when you and Pat and Tim kind of break down some of the fundamental things of his game, his footwork, things like that, what are some big positives that you take away? And then on the other side of things, just constructive things that jump out as, okay, this is something that we need to improve on.
Yeah, he's so physically gifted, and I think sometimes when you have those tools, you can get away with things at the collegiate level. And I think he's starting to find out that some of those tight window throws, or if you're a little bit late on something, you can't necessarily just make up for it with ball speed, right? The DBs are going to close that window a little bit faster. So there's a development there, right? There's a dependency on physical tools that sometimes needs to progress to, more of the footwork and listening to your feet and letting your feet redirect your eyes, those types of things. But Malik's on a good trajectory. He's had some learning experiences out there, but he's a great kid with high character who comes in and wants to know the why. He wants to understand what occurred with the mistake, and then he generally makes a new one. So excited about where he's at.
You've got a couple open spots in the O-line. Have you and Mike talked about, is there an ideal time where you'd like to settle in on some of those spots so those guys can work together consistently, or what does that look like from a timing standpoint?
I think that'll unfold, here in the next, couple of days into the week. We just got into pads yesterday. Certainly you're not going to rush to any judgments before you've put pads on and gotten into a rhythm that way. So, I think that's around the corner, Jim, but I don't know that it's on us right now. That'll be a decision from the head coach, and then, can continue down to Keith and I. So.
How do you advise receivers, Todd? Mike talked about it a little bit yesterday when they get to the top of their breaks and they're looking for separation, kind of a thin line between trying to get separation and not being too physical. What's the advice that you kind of give guys?
I think the starting point, right, is it's easier to scale you back than to try to ramp you up, right? And so we want our guys to use their physical skill set, and we got some big receivers, so let's go use that physicality and that sturdiness at the top of the route, and then we can work on the techniques and the fundamentals to not blur that line between physicality and a foul, right? And so I think my overall advice would be easier to scale it back than to have to ramp it up.
Do you think for Malik, all the stuff going on in his mind, is that kind of behind why sometimes the ball's coming out late? Is there so much processing for him?
Yeah, I think that certainly there's, some new types of concepts that he's seeing for the first time. There's some new defenses he's seeing for the first time. And that's a natural progression for a young quarterback. I think, where Malik's development will take off is once he's able to say, oh, yeah, I've seen this before, he can react a little bit sooner. And he's on the right path. We got to to tie his feet into his progression a little bit more. But I think he's a hard worker that's going to figure it out quick.
I know everybody's probably different in terms of their learning capacity and how quickly they pick up on things, but as a general rule of thumb, when do young quarterbacks figure out that, in college this much space is open and in the NFL this much space is still open?
Sometimes it's trial by fire, right? Sometimes you get out there and you think, oh, that window's open, you go to rip it, and all of a sudden it's not open, and you got to go make a tackle, and that's a really valuable experience. That's what training camp is for a young quarterback, right? Is to figure out what can you do, what can you get away with, and what is that window, right? What's the space you're talking about? And his growth from where he was as like a rookie camp quarterback, wet behind the ears, to where he is now has been really impressive. He's got command of the verbiage, right? He runs the huddle, the line of scrimmage procedures better. It's all on the right trajectory, and I think he's learning a lot. But some of it's going to have to come by learning from mistakes.
Todd, have you seen Nickel has shown you, and does he have the potential to be ready to start this season?
I think he's grown each day as well. It was exciting to see him apply some of the techniques that we asked him to work on from the off season and early pre-camp, and now seeing it show up against some of our vets. And I think that he's another guy that's continuing to grow with each rep and each opportunity. And as far as the starting component of things, we're early in the process there, so we'll see where that develops. He'll certainly get opportunities, to get a lot of reps here in the preseason and in pads and all that. So probably a little premature on that, but he certainly has potential.
How has Mason McKenzie evolved, I guess, over the last couple of years, and what does he need to do to sort of earn a regular opportunity?
Yeah, first of all, his work and his dedication to learning this offense, and not just the slot receiver, but being able to plug and play anywhere, his versatility and dependability has been impressive over the years. He came in here a couple of years ago, and he was just a bull in the china shop, and now he's starting to figure out where he fits in schemes and how he can help and take advantage of opportunities. As far as his continued development and how you help a team is just that consistency, right? Being where the quarterback expects you to be when he expects you to be there, setting up things with route craft, understanding the difference between mans and zones. That's an ongoing process, and I think he's in process with that, but always chasing more consistency there.
So Ryan throw a few interceptions last season at the start of camp, and haven't seen any so far this year. Significant, not significant? Thoughts?
I think it's always significant when you show your commitment to taking care of the football, and certainly ball security is something that we as an offense, starting with me, has put an emphasis on this offseason. We had a blip on the radar last year in terms of an uptick in numbers, but I think it's a holistic approach. I think everybody has a hand in ball security, and I think that our receivers have done a nice job of being where they're supposed to be. I think people are understanding the details of concepts, our protection, finishing at the top of the pocket, giving him a place he can step up and deliver the ball. Certainly Ryan has made a commitment to ball security, but I think everybody has, and I hope that continues.
Todd, consistency has seemed to stand out with Chig. I guess, what have you kind of seen in the way he's attacked every day, and even with maybe the positive strides he's shown, where can he maybe grow the most?
Yeah, obviously, as a rookie tight end coming into a system that uses multiple tight ends, right, and has moved tight ends all over the place, there's a lot on his plate. He's got to learn some inline stuff. He's got to learn some wing stuff. We sometimes flex our tight ends out. There's going to be a natural kind of saturation that happens for young tight ends in this system, and I think that he's working himself through that. He's done a nice job of not being an error repeater. So if he makes a mistake, he's able to fix it, address it, and continue on. That's a testament to Luke Steckel and the job he's doing with him, and also the kind of support he has in the room with some vets, with Jeff Swaim, right, and Austin Hooper, and even Tommy Hudson, who's been through this before in that type of role. So excited about where Chig is. Certainly, I think he's just scratching the surface of his potential, but I believe he's going to continue to grow because it matters to him. Football's important to him.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.